What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Sunday Driver. As you can probably tell by the title of this video where we're going, I am super stoked to show you all the cars that they have there. I've been a big fan of them for a long time, and they were nice enough to have me out. So let's get after it. Let's go see what they got. Alright, just pulled up here. I can't even wait to get inside. They have all this sick stuff hanging out here. Cobra's right there, more inside. GT40 down there. This is gonna be good. Oh my. Getting a candy store right here. Look at this thing.
Car here, Mark II 50th anniversary car here. Tool room cars are doing a limited run that exactly replicate P1075.
Okay.
That won Le Mans back in '68 and '69.
Yeah, with the Gulf coloring, I love it.
So it's 100% nut and bolt duplicate of the car.
Really?
Same fuel pumps, old Girling brakes. It's built to run FI spec, so you could run vintage Le Mans with that car.
I was gonna ask, I was wondering if you'd be able to run in like historic races with these, being that they are newer builds.
This you could run historic Le Mans or anything that requires an FI spec car. But our standard car, you can run SVRA or HSR vintage racing series.
Right.
We have one of our owners, he's won the historic 12 Hours of Sebring 4 years in a row now.
Oh my gosh, is he running the 7-liter?
No, he's running a stroke 302.
Oh man, that sounds the business.
Yeah, and a Mark I GT40.
So are these fiberglass cars, or what are they made of?
They're built to original spec, so they're built exactly, they're 80% interchangeable with the original car.
Okay.
So the original cars have pressed steel monocoque chassis,
Right.
steel roof,
Okay.
and then fiberglass doors, front and rear clamshells.
Right.
And that's exactly how they were made back in the day.
So is this one running no seat because somebody fits better with no seat?
For some reason they pulled the seat out, I guess. Oh no, that's weird. Seat shouldn't be out of the car, but they're probably trying to see if somebody could fit in it.
Right, right.
Super tall people, I don't know where the seat went, but super tall people will just take the seat out and let them sit on the chassis.
Right.
Because you really only need this much pad.
Right. And I mean, who was the original guy that raced it that had to put the bubble top on it?
That was in '66. That was Dan Gurney. He was 6'4".
And he fit.
Well, you know, when he got in the car with his helmet on, his helmet was hitting the roof. So
what a crack up.
That's when.
So that's just enough, just for him to fit.
Yeah, it actually makes quite a difference.
I love that.
Phil Remington, the crew chief, just cut a hole in the top of the door. He took a sheet of aluminum, pounded it out.
I love that.
And then riveted it to the top, and became known as the Gurney bubble or the Gurney bump.
That is so cool.
That's why the seats just lift in and out. There's nothing that holds the actual seat in.
Oh,
it's just basically a form-fitted foam pad.
Right.
So you use a thicker or thinner seat depending on how tall or short the driver was.
Right.
And then the pedal box is fully adjustable, so the pedals can go out.
It's wild how narrow the shifter is on these. You know, most cars you give you like 4 or 5 inches. This is like 1.5 in there.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. So you can see like the shifting is super precise and quick. It's a really short throw shifter.
So what kind of transmissions were you running something like this?
This either an RBT or a Quaife ZF style transaxle.
Okay.
It's basically the same transaxle you'd run in a Pantera, but it's flipped upside down.
Right. Interesting.
And the cars at Le Mans were all right-hand drive, right-hand shift like this.
Right.
Because the pits at Le Mans were on this side.
Right.
So for driver changes, it was a lot safer to have the driver get in and out on this side. It wasn't because they were racing in Europe. Everybody asked, was it because of European drivers? No, they're still shifting with the right hand with the sill mounted shifter and just driving on the right hand side.
I heard too with racing at Le Mans, being that it's a clockwise track, having the little bit more weight on the inside would be beneficial for them as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was part of the plan when they were making it on this side only, but I've heard it would help a little anyways.
Could be. I hadn't heard that one. It's a possibility. It makes sense. The great thing with the right-hand shifter is you get a solid stainless steel rod going back to the transaxle.
Oh my
so
gosh,
it's very
that is
precise.
all the way back.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's just a rod with U-joints.
Yeah.
And so with left-hand drive cars, you have the shifter in the middle, so then you have hydraulic cables that go around the engine to the shift linkage.
Right.
So it's a little sloppier than the direct connection with the rod.
Right.
But
any sort of sound ending in something like this?
Typically, no. In our cars, we do put a little bit, and you can even add more.
Okay.
In my personal car, I added a bunch of heat dissipation, sound deadening,
right,
to make it a little more comfortable. You know, the steel chassis and the steel roof, it's solid. The door shuts.
Right. I love that.
Really, really tight.
So how long have you been here in Irvine then?
The company's been, it started out over by John Wayne Airport about 28 years ago.
Okay.
And then we've been in this building for about 2.5 years. Before that, we were on the other side of Bake Parkway.
Okay.
For about 11 years. And then before that, over by John Wayne Airport.
So you guys have been building these cars for a long time.
Yeah.
Know a thing or two about building a good car.
Yeah, we started building and selling cars in 1996, I believe.
So did you start with the Cobras?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Started with the Cobras.
Yeah.
And, started with the 427 Cobra, which is the most popular. That's about 80% of what
That's
we
like
sell.
the big mouth bass kind of look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then expanded into the 289 Cobras, both what's known as the slab side, which was the original Cobra. That was the old AC Ace that became the Cobra. And then the 289 FIA, which was a little wider rear end on it.
Right.
And then it morphed into the full 427.
Right.
Then after that, we added the Daytona Coupes and the GT40s. And then the most recent is the Corvette Grand Sport.
I heard about that. That's pretty cool. So you got the license to basically, like, it's still called a Corvette. You can, you have the name, right?
Yeah, we're the only ones GM's ever licensed to build a car with their name on it.
That is super cool.
Yeah, all built off the original tooling. Kind of like the GT40s. These are all built off the original tooling under license from Saffer.
Okay.
They bought the rights and tooling from Ford back in the 70s. That's why Ford can't call anything a GT40. They don't own the rights to the name.
Oh my goodness.
That's why the new Ford GT is called the Ford GT.
What a crazy looking car that is too.
Yeah.
Like, I like how you can still see the resemblance, but it obviously looks super modern. It has like the ducts going through. What a wild car.
Yeah, you can see here, you've got kind of these pillars back here, and there, it just connects those rear side pods for the wheels to the car. So it's a lot more exaggerated.
Right. Super narrow in the cabin too.
Yeah, and in 64 and 65, instead of the single opening, they have what they call the twin Snorkels, which they carried forward to the 05, 06 GT.
Right.
And they also carried that forward to the new GT.
Right.
But in 68, 69, they used the single opening.
So this would be called like the Mark 1, right?
Yeah.
I think this has to be my favorite. It's so low and it's so wide. It's just a crazy thing to look at.
When you look how much smaller the car is than the new Ford GT, even how much lower it is, it's pretty crazy.
So the ones coming from Superformance, are they still 40 inches? Or are they really? Yeah. Okay.
In fact, my GT40 is actually on air.
Okay.
And so
you can go
all the way
lower.
down, it's a GT38.5. Yeah.
I love that. That is too cool. So what kind of person usually comes in and buys a car like this? Are they looking for just something to drive on the weekend, or people that want to race? Or
it's all over the map. We have guys that want it as a straight race car. Like this car will be competing in vintage races over in Europe. It's built to full FI spec. It's got an FI spec 302 in it. It's as close as you can get to P1075, the one that won Le Mans in 68 and 9, without having that exact car.
Right. And the crazy thing is how close this is. And if you want to talk price, I mean, those are so crazy buku bucks. They're collector cars. They made a handful of them. Yeah. But if you wanted it, you can come and buy this and have the same experience.
The P1075, with its race history and being a double Le Mans winner, that car is currently owned by Rob Walton, who's Sam Walton's son.
Okay.
From Walmart, Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Rob races that car. Rob also has one of the 6 original Daytona Coupes that he vintage
Oh
races.
my goodness.
And he drives that car like a $2 go-kart.
No way.
I've seen him run that car really, really hard.
Oh my gosh.
P1075 is probably worth over $20 million if it went to auction.
Oh.
And you can get this car built to full FI spec for all done around $326,000.
Right, and it's a new motor, so you know it's going to run. It probably has big modern brakes on it, so you know it's going to stop.
Actually, we instead of the modern brakes we put on the regular car to be FI spec, these have the old Girling brakes.
Oh, okay.
So those
are still pretty big though.
This is old school as it gets.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the vented seats. It is such a cool look on those. Yeah. So when somebody comes into you and they want to buy, let's say, a Cobra, or they want to buy a GT40, how much wiggle room do they have as far as customizability?
They have a lot. Obviously, any of the paint can be fully custom.
Okay.
I had a customer last year. He wanted a Mark 1 GT40 with no stripes, and he wanted it Toyota Cavalry Blue. So that's what we did.
All right.
You can spec any custom 2-stage, 3-stage paint, pretty much any stripe package you want. You know, my car, I wanted to do a blend of the old Mark 1 car and then the new GT Le Mans car.
Right.
And so
go ahead.
what I did is I did the livery off the modern Ford GT race car, which was the red, white, and blue paint scheme.
Right, right.
And then the rear wing, the front splitter, the canards on the front, the modern wheels.
Right.
Even a twin turbo EcoBoost engine like the modern GT.
The V6?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really cool car.
So it's kind of my favorite of the old original Mark 1, along with the new stuff out of the new car.
Taking the best of both worlds. I love that.
So you can get pretty creative.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at this red, white, and blue one out here?
Yeah, this is the sister car to my car. This has a Supercharged Coyote in it. We call this model the future GT40 because it does have some stuff that's new, like the HRE wheels.
That is such a good look for this car.
They're still pin drive center lock wheels, but just a modern wheel like you would see on the modern GT Le Mans car.
Right.
Obviously the diffuser, or sorry, front splitter, the canards on the front for a little more front downforce.
Is this thing on air as well?
No, this one's not.
Oh my goodness, look at how low it is.
Yeah, it does have a hydraulic lift.
Okay,
so
yeah.
you can lift it up.
Because that splitter is barely 2 inches off the ground. I say that'd be a little tricky on the street.
Yeah, and then we put modern gauges in it. So we have some Speed Hut electronic gauges.
But it's all still that classic look.
It's still the classic layout.
Yeah.
And again, the HRE wheels in the back. We've got a big brake package from Willwood on this. So
okay.
We've got 14-inch rotors with 6-piston calipers.
Oh my goodness, those are huge.
Yeah. And then this has the Supercharged Coyote in it.
Holy
this is
cow.
making around 640, 650 horsepower right now on a really mild tune. And then it's made it to a 5-speed manual Quaife transaxle.
So how much would something like this weigh?
It's probably weighs somewhere around 2,400 pounds.
Oh my gosh. With how much? 600 horsepower?
640, 650 horse, and air conditioning. Very comfortable car to ride and drive.
So is this a shop car, or is this one for sale?
This one's for sale. Lance built it for himself, our owner.
Okay.
He owns Superformance and Hillbank Motorsports.
Okay.
When I came up with the idea to do my car, he thought it was such a cool idea. He built his own.
Man.
The only difference with his, he did the extra wide body. Mine's a standard wide body,
yeah.
so his is 6 inches wider, 3 inches on each side, right through the rear hips.
Oh my gosh. How wide are these wheels? These look...
They're 12 inch. Those are 325 19s.
Oh my goodness.
And then 18s on the front.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bigger wheel than you would normally get, and then running Sport Cup 2s instead of the old Avon tires. So
yeah.
You get a really good choice of grippy tires you can put on here.
It's interesting how big of a stagger they ran between the rear wheels and the front.
Yeah, and that's where the GT40's known. Handles really good. But especially low-speed corners, you get a lot of front-end push because you have so much more rear grip, being rear mid-engine with big tires on the rear than front.
So why did they do that then, instead of going for more of a square setup?
It's just kind of the way the dynamics worked out with the chassis.
Right.
And the advantages of having the setup far outweighed the disadvantages. Like here's another Supercharged Coyote.
This thing must be a handful.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of power for this car. Again, this one's mild tuned, 640 horsepower.
Oh.
But so fast at 2,450 pounds.
Right.
It's really, really fast.
Sheesh. I mean, this would be fast in a car like twice that weight.
Yeah.
When you cut half the weight out, I'm sure it's wicked.
And if you want to really get nuts, you're a pulley and a tune away from 800 horsepower.
Oh my gosh. Aren't you just gonna be cooking the tires at that point?
At that point, you're just smoking tires in pretty much every gear.
And you guys sell Caterhams as well?
We do. It's the one car we sell that we don't make.
Yeah.
And this is the badass daddy of the Caterham line. This is the 620R.
Oh my goodness.
So it has a Ford 2-liter Duratec with a supercharger on it. Makes 310 horsepower and weighs 1,250 pounds. And a 6-speed sequential. So once you launch it in first, it's just pop, pop, pop through the gears.
Jeez. Now that sounds like a recipe for a fun drive.
That is a fun drive. Got carbon Kevlar seats. I mean, it's a serious car. Change it up.
Oh my goodness.
Look at a lot of carbon fiber everywhere.
These seats are so cool. Look at how small this steering wheel is.
I know, it's like a video game. I mean, literally, you pull the wheel off, it's just tiny.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, my hand is like just as wide.
Yeah.
What a trip. I mean, people talk about cars and they say it handles like a go-kart or it's like a go-kart. This car is like a go-kart. 310
horsepower go-kart.
Oh my god.
You can imagine. We did some filming with this car. Actually, years ago, when American Top Gear first came out, we did an episode of American Top Gear with one of these, and it beat a Bugatti Veyron to 60.
Oh my
and beat a Viper GTS around the road course.
Oh
my
spanked
it.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So how many of these things are there in the States? I mean, I can't say I've seen more than a handful.
I don't even know. We don't sell a whole lot of them. It's a very niche car.
Yeah.
And I would say half the people that come in our showroom to buy a Caterham have an English accent, so they grew up with the Caterhams.
Yeah.
They were the old 1957 Lotus Super 7. That's where it all started.
Right.
And this is where you're talking about taking weight out of the car, where Colin Chapman invented this car and said, just add lightness, and that's the key to a good car.
I don't know if there's any more lightness you can add, unless you want to take off the paint.
Actually, paint is an option. I was just going to say, paint is an option on the order form for this car. It will come with all the alloy pieces unpainted unless you specify paint.
Wow.
Because they don't want to add the weight to the car unless the customer chooses to.
Does this go all the way at the back, the exhaust?
Yeah, this is the track exhaust. Normally it would do side exit.
Oh, okay.
But this goes underneath with another resonator and out the back, because some tracks have noise limitations.
So you pop this on for your Laguna Seca day?
Yeah.
Love that. Oh man.
Yeah, this is an example of a pre-owned car, probably 10 or 12-year-old car. The paint we use is all Glasser paint. Lasts forever.
I mean, it still looks like new.
The paint that was left on my 15-year-old Daytona before they overhauled it was in beautiful shape.
So do you ever get like the actual Shelby cars that come through? People sell them. Would they ever come to you for something like that?
I haven't had an original one come through. We do have some pretty valuable ones. Probably one of the most notable is Shelby did a run of CSX 1000 series 427 cars back in the 90s when they started coming out with a lot of the Cobra kit cars. He said, I'll show you how to do a kit car.
Right.
And he built, I want to say 24 CSX 1000 series cars with original chassis he had laying around.
So what was different about those?
That they were built all to original spec with alloy bodies. A few of them had alloy bodies from AC Cars in England, which built the original cars.
Wow, okay.
And then one of them we have for sale here was actually part of Paul Walker's collection.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we bought that from the estate. One of our owners did when he passed away, and then we just sold that car in Arizona last year at Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale.
Right.
So it's in good hands.
He had a pretty awesome collection.
Really awesome collection.
I mean, he had like the American stuff, Mustangs, but then he had like older Japanese cars, and he kind of liked it all.
But a few of the CSX 1000 cars were very special, including Paul's car. They were all Rosso red with tan interior, gold center wheels, and they had badges that said FAM.
Okay, what's that for? FAM.
Ferrari's ass is mine.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, they did a special run of, they called them FAM cars, because
Oh
Carroll
my
Shelby
gosh.
had his favorite saying, Ferrari's ass is mine. So all those cars were Ferrari red with the signature Ferrari tan interior.
I love that.
And then the gold center wheels, which is another Ferrari signature, and then the FAM badges on them. So that was Carroll's big middle finger to Enzo.
Oh my gosh, as if winning Le Mans wasn't enough.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah, the Corvette Grand Sport I mentioned earlier, that's definitely worth talking about.
Let's see. So how many of those have been built?
Right now I've got orders in for car number 35, 36, and 37.
Awesome.
We've got a ton. I've got 2 more orders pending. So we'll be up to 40 cars. It's the newest thing we added to our lineup. And again, like the GT40s, it's like a real new Grand Sport.
Right.
It gets a CGS chassis number. It's built off the original tooling. Guys who are used to a C2 Corvette will sit in this car and go, something's off, and they can't quite pin it down.
Right.
But one of the things, you know, this car exists because of the Cobra. When the
How's
Cobras,
that?
the Cobras started beating up the Corvettes in the U.S. road racing circuit.
They weren't going to have none of that.
Zora Duntov, who worked for GM,
Yeah.
was really upset about it. And at that time, the big three, Ford, GM, and Chrysler, had a ban on racing because of all the deaths and everything, and it wasn't safe.
Right.
So they all had a gentleman's agreement, we're not going to participate in racing. Well, Duntov, in the basement of GM, created this Cobra Killer. It's 7/8 scale. He did everything he could do to change the car to make it lighter. So he made it 7/8 scale. So
Sweet.
not enough. Back then they didn't have sophisticated templates and stuff like you have in NASCAR.
Are you saying he downsized? Like,
He did everything.
whoa.
So it's proportionally shrunk.
That
1/8,
is so crazy.
save a couple of 100 pounds.
Wow.
He made the body super thin. Of course, our bodies are really thick and sturdy. So instead of 2,000 pounds, our car weighs 2,900 pounds.
Right.
And like this one has the touring interior, which is super comfortable. Air conditioning, power windows, power steering, power brakes, power door locks.
Wow.
So the tilt steering wheel. So I mean, it's a very comfortable car, but still super quick. It's 2,900 pounds, and you know, one of the cars I just built has a Lingenfelter LT4 in it, making 750 horsepower.
Oh my goodness.
You know, with a Tremec 6-speed, so way more than enough power.
Wow, wow,
But these
wow.
are all built, the bodies are off the original molds, the chassis is off the original tooling. We do some mods to the front suspension because the original race cars had the turning radius of a battleship. They didn't, race cars don't need to make U-turns in the street.
Right.
So we do some mods there, so it'll make a proper U-turn. But other than that, you know, it's funny, the Grand Sports, they used Chevy C10 truck door handles.
Right.
But they were recessed in. You know, that's their 60s version of aerodynamics.
Right.
So we use the C10
love
door
that.
handle. And there you can see the tilt steering wheel. You got vintage air AC in the car. And you can do it either with the touring interior like this, or we've done a few with the full race interior. We have one car that races a lot. It's called El Nino. If you search El Nino Grand Sport on YouTube, you'll see tons of videos. He did the Hot Rod Power Tour with it.
Okay.
A lot of stuff. Very cool car.
Super cool. I love the blue interior. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Standard is blue or black, but I've got a guy right now. We've ordered his car. He lives in Ohio. He's an Ohio State fan. So we're doing a GM Red Obsession Pearl Metallic with Grigio Titanium silver stripe.
Oh man.
And black pinstripes, and then we're doing a custom gray leather interior with red diamond stitching. So it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous car.
That'll be beautiful for sure. Wow.
And he's
I love
going
it.
with an LT4.
So they were this wide?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell where the old car was, and
Yeah.
they're like, let's make that a little bit wider.
FIA rules said the body had to completely cover the tire. You couldn't have it sticking out.
Yeah,
So you could tell they were kind of pushing it a little bit here. But they did put the flares on there to comply. And then they're running a C2, C3 locker rear diff, which is what we run in the car as well. We actually get it from Duntov.
Okay.
And so it's original to the car. But being that it's a locker, and not a limited slip, when you're going around corners for 24 hours at Le Mans or 12 hours at Sebring, it gets really hot.
Right.
So they had to add a cooler on the rear deck lid just for the differential. So that's a rear diff cooler.
I love that.
And then they had access at the back so they could service the diff and the suspension during a race.
So is this just open?
It was on the race cars. For our cars, we actually made it into a usable trunk. And it's
Very
actually
nice.
quite big. So
Yeah, you can fit a lot in
one
there.
of the few Corvettes with a trunk.
I love it.
Ton of room. and then you have the package shelf in the back, so it actually makes it usable for a long trip. And again, you can put any GM small block or big block power plant in it. So again, we've done LT4. I think we're going to do one with an LT5 in it,
right?
Which will be really crazy. We've done the original stroke 327 that was in the race cars. It was a 377 cubic inch 327 stroker with the Webers with the cross ram injection.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful motor. This one's an LS3 Lingenfelter, and it's got the Borla 8-stack EFI setup on it.
I love that because it has everything you'd want with a new car, but it has that old school look, and you still get the induction sound.
Yep.
It's a really cool combo.
The Lingenfelter coil pack covers, so it makes it look like valve covers. You don't see the coils.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I love that.
Gives it a really, really nice look.
It does. Really clean.
You know, this makes 525 horsepower, which is more than enough for the car.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it'd be pretty quick with that much power.
The LS3 is one of my favorite engines for this car.
So why do people like, I'm not an LS expert, what do people like about like the different LS, like an LS7 versus LS3 or?
The LS3 you can do anything to. There's so much aftermarket stuff for that engine.
Okay.
From fuel injection setups to forced induction setups. You can pro-charge it, you can supercharge it, you can turbocharge it.
Right. Or
you can do
crazy NA build or anything.
Yeah. You can do the cross ram Webers on it if you want.
Yeah.
You can do just about anything.
Right.
And it's a very reliable engine. The hot cam LS3 makes over 500 horsepower, and it's just very reliable. It's just a great motor.
Which is a nice aspect for a track car especially.